Good evening. Everyone that's watching this Charter Commission, we will be starting once we have a quorum of 5 people. So stay tuned.
Didn't I tell you he was gonna be running in?
I just don't want to start something and we know we can't finish. But I hear you. So, please accept my apologies. This is why. That seems to be the only thing about it. Good job. I did.
Okay.
I would like to call to order an hour late, the 16th session of the Pontiac Charter Revision Commission for August the 10th at 6:58.
It's gonna be one of them meetings. How y'all doing at home? Y'all all right? Don't forget to follow, like, and share, and subscribe to this Facebook page because Chair Ramsey says we're an hour late, and we are. So, because of me.
Roll call.
Commissioner Burrows. Commissioner Garrett.
Oh, that'd be me. Present.
Commissioner Killian.
Present.
Commissioner Payne.
Present.
Commissioner Ramsey.
Here.
Commissioner Stewart. Commissioner Turpin. Commissioner Williams. Commissioner Ibarra.
Present.
Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Is there a motion to excuse Commissioner Williams, Burrows, Stewart, and Turpin?
Moved by Garrett.
Second.
For personal reasons, it's been moved by Commissioner Garrett and supported by Killian. Roll call.
Garrett.
Yes.
Killian.
Yes.
Payne. Yes. Ramsey.
Yes.
Ibarra.
Yes.
5 yeas, no nays.
Any amendments to the agenda?
Can we amend to move public comment up?
No public comment.
No public comment. Okay, so no public comment. All right, thank you. All right, so a motion to approve. Okay, so I'm sorry. So is there any amendments to the agenda? No? Okay. Motion to approve the agenda as is.
Moved by Garrett.
Second.
Moved by Garrett and supported by Killian to approve the agenda. Roll call.
Killian.
Yes.
Payne.
Yes.
Ramsey.
Yes.
Ibarra.
Yes.
Garrett.
Yes, ma'am.
That's 5 yeas, no nays.
Thank you. Approval of the minutes for July 20th, 2023.
Support.
Second. So moved by Ibarra and supported by Payne. Roll call.
Payne. Yes. Ramsey.
Yes.
Ibarra.
Yes.
Garrett.
Yes.
Killian.
Yes.
5 yeas, no nays.
All right. Our next item is the discussion of forms of government. I will hand it over to Commissioner Ibarra.
Thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and transfer over to the computer screen to further move on the slides.
That young man is very efficient. That young man is very efficient. It's just because I'm her favorite. That's how I look at it. It's got to be. But I'm her favorite. I always have been. Ask Mike. I always have been. You know what I'm saying?
Alrighty, council people, or commissioners, I should say. My apologies. My apologies.
At the last Tuesday, sir, I appreciate it if you will refer to me as Charter Commissioner Garrett. I don't know, but I'll take city council after what happened last Tuesday. I appreciate them. Thank you.
I do appreciate those who are in attendance today, and I am aware that we do have commissioners who are watching the stream as well. Today's presentation, let's talk about a hybrid government. Before we move on into the hybrid government, I did want to show you guys the data that I received during the survey. Okay. So this survey was established through social media. This was a paid campaign focusing on a 10-mile radius in the city of Pontiac, ranging from the ages of 18 to 65, with similar interests that people would have in the community, and just overall try to keep it as broad as possible so that everybody in Pontiac has the opportunity to do the survey. During that time, we did end up receiving 40 surveys. Thank you. Special shout out to Gil Garrett for sharing the post on Facebook. That definitely did see an increase once he posted that. So thank you for that. Okay, so let's go ahead and go into the data. So, in question one, the question was, are you comfortable with Pontiac's current city government structure, known as the strong mayor form of government, in which 79.5% of people are comfortable with our current city government structure. Question two does contain, should the city council or should the charter commission move forward with trying to implement a council manager form of government, in which looks like majority, 74.4% of people did not want us to implement a council manager form of government. Question three, do you like the idea of creating a hybrid form of government, having a city administrator and a mayor to collaborate together? Now, let me just confirm that that was the question at that time. This presentation, the hybrid form of government, has been updated, but we'll get into that conversation a little bit. And so it looks like the people were split on that decision, with one person saying only if they can work together in the best interest of people. So I do believe that this conflicting split decision does come from maybe educating the community more as to what we see in the hybrid form of government. So questions 4 through 6 were based on council structure, in which question 4 was, how do you feel about our council members representing 7 different districts, in which 79.4% of people are in favor of our current city council position, and which, with one person explaining, I support as it stands, but would like to see a revision. Question 5 was, would you like to see...
Excuse me. Should we hold off on our questions until the presentation is complete?
So I would say yes, only because, and we can go back and analyze it slide by slide, but I feel like everybody should receive all of the information so that you understand where these puzzle pieces are coming from and how they all connect.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and so question 5, would you like to see some council member seats represent the entire community, in which 53.8 people said no, the council members should represent a different district. Now, I would just say I do agree that council members should represent a different district, but also agree that there does need to be a revision. I don't believe that this answer doesn't reflect on not wanting at least one at-large council person if it were to make sense, in which I will discuss that later in the presentation. Question?
No question, sir.
Alrighty, and question number 6. Would you like the Charter Commission to establish a council seat that represents marginalized, underrepresented communities in the city of Pontiac? It looks like there was a split decision on that question as well. Once again, the position could be created if it makes sense, is what I'm gathering from this information. Okay, so let's talk about hybrid form of government. So Scott and I did collaborate on this, and we believe that this is the best example of how a hybrid form of government could look like in Pontiac. So our official definition of the hybrid form of government is taking small pieces from multiple charters across the country to provide a government structure that fits Pontiac the best. The hybrid government is not adding a city manager, instead strengthening positions that are already established. Now, we know Pontiac isn't like other cities. We have our own community. We have our own problems. We also have our own advantages. That doesn't mean we can't learn from good examples. So the focus areas of hybrid government we wanted to focus on is adding additional roles and responsibility, adding more citizens input, and finally, adding power to city council for equal government. All of these bulletin points will be explained coming up. So here we're going to establish the position structures. So we see the mayor as the chief executive, where his main focus would be on external relations. So for instance, he could be involved in public policy advocacy, may join networks advocating for specific policies, regional or national levels, especially those that directly affect the city's well-being. Other external relations, such as infrastructure and transportation, regional and national organizations, business and economic development can work to attract investments and business to their city. This can involve meetings with potential investors, participating in trade missions, fostering connections with local and international business leaders. Education and research collaborations. As I'm aware, there is a little sneak peek of collaboration between Oakland University and Pontiac, for example. But to really expand on that, as the mayor, is what we see a bigger picture for. And last but not least, cultural exchanges. Just be involved in facilitating cultural events, festivals, and whatnot. I do see a progress in that, but to really expand on that, as we know, Pontiac is a diverse community. Once again, as a part of the responsibilities of the mayor, they will continue to engage in conversation with the council, such as budget recommendations. They will be able to appoint a deputy mayor with new requirements for the deputy mayor position, and we'll go ahead and explain those requirements in one slide. And last but not least, they would still have the right to veto power, but a supermajority from council is required to revoke that veto. Last but not least, they would be allowed to appoint boards and commission people. For the deputy mayor, we would like to make him the chief operating officer, as our current deputy mayor is now. They would be the overseer of the day-to-day operations. And we also thought that they would also help oversight the boards and commissions. Our discussion for having the deputy mayor help oversight the boards and commission is because most of these have operation ties to the city. So when you have operation ties to the city, we figured the person who's operating the city should help oversight those boards and commissions. In terms of requirements, we believe that, and this was requested by Commissioner Killian during our subcommittee meeting, is that the mayor is required to follow these requirements for the deputy mayor position. And so with that, which is residency is not needed when appointed, but once appointed, the deputy mayor must move into the community within 120 days, also 4 months. 4 years of experience developing, implementing, and managing programs, projects, personnel functions, including 2 years in a supervisory role. And they would also need a bachelor's degree in business management, public administration, or related field required, master's preferred, with a certification in city management. Moving on to council president. In this hybrid form of government, we have modified the current council president position. This will be voted by the people of Pontiac. This will be an at-large council member. Being an at-large council member would require them to be full-time. They would be able to preside over city council, vote on all questions, and perform such other duties as may prescribed by law, in which some of the duties could be, as an example, monitor the operation of public information and service complaint programs of city agencies and make proposals to improve such programs. They would also be able to review complaints of recurring citywide nature relating to services and programs and make proposals to improve city's response to such complaints. And finally, they would be able to receive individual complaints concerning city services and other administrative actions and agencies. Those are just a few of what the position could look like. But once people are voted in, I'm sure they would have more details as to what their position would look like. Well, that was a sneak peek of the flow map, but we'll move on to City Council. So with this council president being at large, we wanted to remove the district position from the council president. So with that, we still wanted to keep the 7 council members. That's because that is structured how it is currently. We do want to have an odd number on city council to allow them to vote on it themselves. So there shall be 6 districts with 1 member elected from each district. That would be a total of 7 council members, including the council president. We would like to require to allocate funds for legislative staff. So that would be just an example of chief of staff, budget analyst, either a new position or adding responsibility somewhere, and also a policy analyst, once again, either adding a new position or adding on responsibility elsewhere. Under the city clerk's office, Scott mentioned that he would like to require to allocate funds for public integrity officer, where they would investigate waste, abuse, fraud, and corruption in city government. Jurisdiction would extend to all employees, contractors, and those seeking to do business with the city of Pontiac. And lastly, something we wanted to add was citizens' input once again. So we would like to allow the city council to appoint citizens to the boards and commissions as well as the mayor. And this is the official flow map of what it would like, of what the government would look like if it were to implement. So this doesn't have all of the departments, but this has the overall broad departments to consider. So now we can open this up for discussion. We can break this up: survey, mayor, deputy mayor, council president, council. Where would we like to start?
I think we should start at the beginning of the presentation and just see if people have any questions for each page. I would just like to start with, I think we should have a paper survey as well, but I also think we need to flush out some of these questions, because I think number 6, I think it's close because people maybe didn't understand that. So I would like to see if we could revisit some of the wording of some of these questions and also have a paper survey as well, which I would not mind working some community events over the next month or so to get some answers on that survey. Commissioner Garrett.
Okay, so just for public knowledge, this is a recommendation that's coming out of this subcommittee, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So with that being said, I do agree that a paper survey, it wouldn't hurt. Mm-hmm. But how many actually filled out the survey online?
40. 40.
Like 40?
40.
Okay. We definitely need to do a paper survey. 40 people, mind you, 40 people can't make decisions for 59,000 people. Like, it's too important. And when you're explaining, when you say hybrid government, it sounds like you just added responsibilities and changed job description versus it being a hybrid government. So I think there's a confusion with saying hybrid government if you haven't changed the government or changed it in such a way where you're including other positions on the executive side. Doesn't sound like you did that. It just sounds like you, which I agree. I mean, you should strengthen the deputy mayor's position. I do agree that the deputy mayor should live here. I do agree with the ability for the mayor to be able to have veto power, but it's truly your deputy mayor that does deal with the day-to-day operations. So I'm okay with that. But I think as we're moving forward, if you continue with the word hybrid government, then it becomes a little different. You know what I'm saying? It's asking for something different unless the committee has something different. If the committee doesn't have anything different, then I would, just for the sake of how important this is, not to use the word hybrid government, because that's just going to get it shot down, period, when you hear it. Because I was expecting to hear something different, but you just beefed up the job descriptions. I do agree with the mayor being more of a function of how the mayor operates or currently tries to operate now. But coming into tonight's meeting, I had a very, I wanted to see what the survey was. I wanted to see how many people were engaged, but just 40 people, it really doesn't do it. But it gives me, with the 40 people who did take the time out to take the survey, I will take that point and run with that.
Yes.
Like, okay, they found it to be important. This is the information that we have. Now, once it starts rolling down, of course, then you get people, well, who said this and who said, well, you had a chance to do your survey and you didn't do it. But to be honest, I'll feel more comfortable doing paper surveys as well. And I'm at the event anyway, so I have no problem with being there and, figuring out what that is. But, great job on the presentation. I would just drop the word hybrid, that's all.
Yeah. And to your point, so the reason why we labeled it as the hybrid form of government is essentially with this updated form of government, it's almost sharing the power of the mayor to other departments. So in just terms of we were confused as to whether calling it a fully functioning, strong mayor form of government, but with not all of the responsibilities of the strong mayor form of government, could we really call it that? Can we really call it a weak mayor form of government if he still has some sort of power to veto, to be a part of the discussion? That was where the confusion was we don't want to label it a strong mayor. We didn't want to label it a weak mayor. So I guess this is a great discussion as to how do we officially advertise this updated form of government?
Can I respond?
Oh, go ahead.
Yes, and he's correct. And upon our conversations, when we first started out with the hybrid, it was adding a position. But upon our last meeting, we decided that's really where we're not comfortable with going. So we blended the responsibilities of that added position into that. And that's why I get what you're saying as far as the word hybrid. It makes it seem like, hey, we're finna change this, but with us blending it, we thought we'd still keep it the same way. Because we're blending the responsibilities of city manager type situation and mayor and changing some of the responsibilities of the deputy mayor. So that's where that kind of really, we stayed with being hybrid because it was a blended situation.
Can I jump in right quick?
No, go ahead.
I agree with Commissioner Garrett. I think calling the original version that we saw was a hybrid. This, I think it's a strong mayor form and responsibilities are different. I think if we continue to call it a hybrid, people are going to be nervous and not do it. It is a strong mayor form of government. The mayor still has the power. He has the power to appoint a deputy who is the COO. So I think it is still, when you look at it, as Commissioner Garrett said, it's changing some of the job responsibilities, but all of it still falls on the mayor.
And to your point, I like how it's spelled out what some of what the mayor's responsibilities would be. When you look at and I compare the various administrations that I've been under. So when I look into where this administration is looked as, that's exactly what's written down on the piece of paper. Like the mayor actually does go out, attend events. He's the most polarized mayor that I think that we've seen since Walter Moore. So you see him everywhere, and he's engaged, right? So, but he's able to do that because he does have a deputy mayor that runs the day to day. His directors are charged to do what they need to do, and so I'm able to see that, right? So I like that aspect of that. The opposite end, though, council, I think needs to be spelled out a little bit more as far as duties and what their responsibility is and the power that they hold when if the executive side that works now wasn't the work. You understand what I'm saying? Like, the reason why we're in a position now that the Phoenix deal, and I'm so glad I can be able to talk about this stuff now. The Phoenix deal, where we were held under that $5 million, we owed $5 million attached to it even after it was sold. That's what the previous administration didn't want you to know. This administration doing the back and forth and I would just say the transparency of the council, they were able to point out, hey, this is what it is. This is where we're going to break that down. So moving forward, right, they still don't have power if he decided to say, I'm bringing a contract, right? If he decided to say, hey, in the 9th hour, I'm changing this MOU and I'm going to sign whatever I'm going to sign as my executive powers to do so, council still didn't have any power to go and say, hey, I don't care what you did over there, you can't do that. And that, if you did not have the council that you had sitting up here doing this current and previous deal, then we would have found ourselves in another situation. Not as bad of a situation, I don't want that to be put out, but you still would have found yourself in a situation where if the council would have went back and convened and said, no, I don't want to put that in there, they wouldn't have had any fallback, no power. So I guess, spell that out. If you could spell that out a little bit more. And I don't think people will have a problem with it, per se. Adding that, and let me know if I'm moving ahead or not, but if adding that position of full, okay. Go ahead.
No, we're on do you have anything to say about the mayor?
Yes. Thank you. Well, according to the 40 survey, responses from the survey, they are comfortable with the current structure. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I've heard from individuals is that, and I did hear a lot of us ran on this concept also, is that we want to include the residents in some of the decision. We want to know what you want to. How would you like to see your government? Getting your ideas, your thoughts on operations, or how a strong mayor or weak mayor, and then we gather that information, and then we come and then we actually form what we basically have now. So I think it's important, as Commissioner Ramsey and Commissioner Garrett has said, getting that paper survey and attending the meetings. I've even had a couple of council persons to actually say, I thought you all were going to be getting information from our residents, But so I really think that you have the crust of, you have everything that's needed, with the exception, I think, of explaining a little bit more in detail, because actually it needs to be formulated down to the T as a job description, because with the description, and when I say description, I mean flushing out everything. Look at the past administrations and what kinds of conflicts that we've gone with, had, and flushing those out into making sure that they're in there as descriptions. who should be doing this and who should not be doing this. I think that's going to be what's important. I really feel that that's what residents are going to want, is to flesh that out.
So, if I may, Chair Ramsey.
Please.
Wanting to go back to Gil, Commissioner Garrett for a little bit, in which you are correct. And I think honestly we are all on the same page when this is a updated version of what our current government structure looks like. And that is the way it is due to the survey, but due to hearing the conversations of saying, we like our government. We don't want a city manager. Perfectly fine. This is a compromise into updating the present and the future times while also trying to cooperate with the community to ensure that they are okay with it. They will vote yes or no. Going back to Lucy, in terms of a job description, I feel like I picture the Constitution as what I would call project-based learning, where you're given a task, but you have to figure out the solution to the task. What the charter does is a foundation of a broad overall, I would say, like we explained, a job description. But with every administration comes different problems and responsibilities, which should be resolved or revised and situated on the first meeting, as I've seen in multiple charters that many roles are established and responsibilities on the first day of the meeting. So to your point, yes, a job description would be amazing, but I feel like the job description should come down to the people who have the resources to settle the job description, such as an attorney, such as those who are qualified to explain in detail what the job description is. So going back, I guess, okay, I do agree. This is not an official hybrid form of government. This is, could we say, a strong mayor blended form of government? We need to have an official title to present this into the community.
I
about
like
shared?
the strong mayor blended. I'm okay with that.
Thank you.
Strong Mayor, shared?
All right.
But I'm kind of confused, because if it's a strong form of mayor government, what makes
It's
the
only-
difference? What makes the difference between blended and shared? Like, because the total opposite is either it's a weak mayor, I've heard
Versus strong.
versus strong mayor. A weak mayor is no power. A strong mayor has some power. You've put power in this. You still kept the power with
The mayor.
this mayor. So strong form of mayor government. Again, anything that this Pontiac, you alter something and you alter it in a way where people think it's confused by what they've already had. And you could take the 40, you could take whoever. If I go strong form of mayor government blended, again, and just full transparency and being here during that time, they didn't shoot the charter down because they didn't think they needed a new charter. There were council members up here who did not want to be at-large members, wanted to keep it as their districts, and because you had the words at-large, and they really didn't educationally comprehend what at-large meant during that time, they went out in their different districts and had it shot down. And so if it's something, that's what I'm saying, if it's something with council as far as the president, I would add, well, I'll just stop right there because that's what you said.
yeah.
So strong, I just say, just leave it at
Yeah,
strong form of
strong
mayor
mayor.
government, just
Okay.
flat out. That's it.
Strong
No
mayor.
blended, no nothing.
Because that's really the definition of, I just looked up and says, what are the two different types of mayor? It's only two, strong and weak. So we have to go with strong.
Killian?
Yes. How about using the word amended? Leaving it still, because it's still the strong mayor, but we're amending some of those responsibilities. We're adding on some of these.
Well,
So, or just keep it, I'm
Strong
just
mayor.
wondering.
Just
Okay.
strong mayor.
Just strong mayor.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm
just
sorry,
wanted to know.
I'll yield to Madam.
No, I was just
Payne.
going to agree with you because strong mayor, I mean, if you go with anything else, it's going to confuse. It's going to be confusing.
Yeah.
And at this time, when we're trying to make changes, you really don't want to take out into the community something that is going to confuse the residents. And I think because with even 40, we know we're going to get more than that when we take it out, to ask in the paper survey, and they're going to come back and say, this is what we really want, because individuals want to be able to vote for who they want in office. Now, what we could do is, like you were doing here, is making sure that you spell out, because I heard someone at another meeting, which I wasn't here, but I was listening to you, and you said that that councils in the past have not really knew and understood what their functions were.
Correct. That was me.
And that's what is happening is that no one really, everybody jumps around. And if you've got that written down on paper,
Well,
I mean, you've got what the mayor can do, okay? You've got what the council can do or cannot do. And then that really is what I think that the residents will be looking for, is what this one person said, only if they can work together. Now, this is what they want, something that our leadership can work together. That's just mine.
Gilbert.
don't do that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Gary. I'm sorry. I'm trying to multitask. I'm sorry. That was an accident.
Now you know she my favorite.
No, that was
Like, I'm her favorite. That was
Gil, Commissioner Garrett. Garrett. Okay.
the word. So, man, that just made me just lose my train. No. In all fairness, though, like, if you take one of the largest things that we just went through, the selling of this Phoenix Center, and you look at that ordeal in the last 6 months of it, and you look at in totality the makeshift of both legislative and legislative and executive branch, and how our current mayor operates now, what you have spelled out, it's already what he does. I just think that just needs to be put in the charter that, hey, we want you to continue this. If you don't continue this, I'm not saying you got to show up. Listen, Mayor Grimer's a different guy. You know what I mean? Like, he's been doing this same showing up to 100 spaces since state rep. And so, and then and county commissioner, you know what I mean? So it's not new for him, right? But some people may feel that they're comfortable enough in the community. So I don't want to put that you got to show up to 100 events and you got to do X, Y, and Z, that you got to show up to, I don't know, like, I don't want to put that in there. However, you have to be physically present in the community. What does that look like? You have to attend major events put on or that the city has sponsored. Because now that puts you into, because there are some events that the city has sponsored, so you have to show up to those, right? So that would give another person the autonomy to do so. You put teeth into just, if you look at what the deputy mayor and, that's, to me, is the only place that needs teeth. Because again, if, for not to beat the dead horse, I'll wait till we get to council to talk about that. But you've already, what we, as example of what a mayor should be doing. But let's go back to Ms. Payne. I remember it now. Ms. Payne, like Commissioner Payne, it's already in the current charter what your job description is. Like, it's in there. We ignore it. We play politics with it. And because of, depending on from administration to administration, who's going to give leeway to leeway, this side is always going to give onus to this side, because they do have a legislative power that they don't understand that they have over the executive side. This executive side has not, I'm not going to say that, I can't speak for them. What I will say is, have tried to do a collaborative effort as they're moving things forward. I'm not going to say it's always ended like that. I watch, like everybody else watch council meetings now, and I can see it because of being in those various positions. However, what you have put in this as it relates to the mayor is accurate, and it's what our current mayor does, and that's what I expect out of a mayor. And I appreciate it, but I'm fully aware that everybody's not a Mayor Grimo and not, it's not going to attend 60 meetings. It's just not, 60 events. Like,
So I'm just gonna say this so we can move on, because we do need to, I have something with the deputy mayor. That definition wise, there's the strong mayor, there's the weak mayor, and that's what people understand. And so we need to be able to give them one of those and then explain what it is, what's in it that makes it the strong or the weak form. I think adding anything else will just confuse people, and then they're not gonna vote for it.
So name aside, the name of the government aside, I do want to hear, are we in agreement of, I guess let's move on. I just, as I explained to Scott and Ryan, commissioners, that this conversation, today's conversation would be focused around city council, because that's such a gray area, if you will, of wanting to finalize their objectives and responsibilities, if you will. So I was hoping coming in today that we at least had an agreement of how the positions are, or at least finalize an agreement in terms of mayor, deputy mayor, and then moving on to finalizing some sort of yay or nay for council president, and then having a discussion in city council.
Okay, so can we do a temperature check? And just on the mayor, are we good with how the mayor is laid out in this proposal?
okay, I'm good with it. I just don't think, I don't think that if you start getting into job descriptions of saying what a person must do, because the fluidness of running you get into some murky gray areas where having to ignore certain things to get certain things will be the thing. And so you still, if it's a strong form of mayor, I agree with putting, as it's stated here, if you have some more definitions or some things like that, but the must and shall, all those type of things, no, you can leave that out. If it's documented, right. But if it's documented that you putting this in the charter, I think people want to see this. I think I really do, and I speak, I speak to the seniors at least once a week, so I know, having these type of conversations, like, it just should be a order. That's all.
So you're good.
I'm
Brian,
good with that, yeah.
Commissioner Killian?
I agree, and I'm glad we can come, like you said. First of all, great presentation. Everything we went over is pretty much, I get the hybrid, and I get what you were talking about far as definitions. However, as we spoke in this subcommittee, I'm also with Mr. Garrett, Commissioner Garrett, is that we don't need to spell out everything, because to me, my duty is to give this community a solid foundation. Then it expressed legally in terms and duties is then transferred but we want to give them a solid foundation and description of what should be some of those description and duties. So, but I do agree, hey, we can't confuse about the hybrid. I think we should stick with strong mayor and weak mayor and work with that. So that's where I'm at. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Ibarra, you good with the mayor definition? Okay, so I think we're good. We'll move forward to the deputy mayor. The only thing that I had, it should be 3 months. We're not gonna do a formal vote until we get to the end.
I was going to actually.
It would
She already
be,
said yes.
okay. And yourself, Tamika?
I'm good too. I'm good. So for the deputy mayor, I think it should be 3 months, from the date of being appointed, and not 4. Garrett? Yes. Garrett,
You said 3.
3 months and not 4.
I said 60 days.
I would, listen.
No, I said no because okay. I'm sorry. If you want to be here, and you know you want to be here, and you know you running, get your house in order. Like I'm no longer like, and I'm just gonna tell you I'm gonna tell you how my leadership style. I don't know nothing about. I'm not gonna say I don't know nothing about here. Next door, we have a open door policy. If it's not about the kids, we don't deal with adult issues. So that means you come already prepared knowing that when you get hired by the Pontiac School District, there's going to be some accountability. We're going to do some checks and some balances, and we're going to have a mid-year review. You know this before you even take the job. Like, you know this. So if you know you running a campaign a year from now, you know you want to be the deputy mayor, there are people who go up to the mayor who's running and say, I want to be your deputy mayor. Now, if all this, they don't know and who is going to be, that's a bunch of bull. They do know. So you got 60 days if you don't live here to move into the city. It take 30. It's a very transient community. Like we know a lot of people who can move in a day. So I think I'm doing very well with giving you a whole year off brand. And then you get elected in November. You have at least 60 days there. So ultimately, you getting the 4 months. We're just not telling you the 4 months. That's why I wanted to go with 60 days. Because after November, and you find out you're going to be the deputy mayor, you should start making that happen. If you don't find out you're the deputy mayor until January, then just throw the whole thing away. We in trouble. So then you got 60 days to move in after that. I'm with 60 days. I'm not.
All right, so we have 3 months. I was going to say 60 days. We have 3 months, 2 months. Commissioner Payne.
Well, at your last meeting, I remember hearing Scott said 90 days. Now, back to what Garrett was saying about the mayor running. In the federal, elections, if you're running for president, and that's what this is, basically running for president. And when you decide to run, how about if we add in there for that appointed deputy mayor to already be announced?
All right.
Just a thought.
You good? Okay. Go ahead.
Listen, I thought about that. The only issue with that is because the deputy mayor is not elected, that person or persons, family, them as a whole, they would have to really be focused on getting the mayor into position so they can have a job. If they lose, you don't have to get a good applicant that's going to leave another job in hopes that you get another job. That was the only reason why I didn't say that. I agree with you. Now, what I do agree with is doing a transitional period from November 5th to January 2nd or 3rd, whenever we decide that, the people decides that the election is going to be, that you're going to take office, is that you name your deputy mayor at the day of the organization. Because you've had 60 days. So you can't say you don't know. So let's just stop. Let's be adults, take the ambiguity out of everything. And if you know who your number 2 going to be, because you know what you need to get the job done. The job description is going to be already given to you of what the deputy mayor is going to be. So it's going to eliminate certain people automatically out of your list. Or if it passes and you know what the certification is going to be, you can go tell somebody, go get a certification to be a city manager. So I can at least help you appoint. Like, are you willing to do the work? Like, are you willing, not just because you've been here before or you're popular or anything like that. I'll say that for my closing comments. But I'm just saying that to have tea for the people, because we are elected. You say, what are the citizens, residents, their input? We are their input. So the mayor would be their input. Their city council would be with their input. It's just that they've been ignored by the people that they put in office, and once they put them in office, it's a frustrating thing. So we cannot ignore that. But I just think it'll be difficult to put that kind of pressure on someone if we legally put it in there to do so, because they're not going to give up a job to, even if you wanted to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but it just made me think that what you were saying, it just, came to my mind that during that time when mayors, whether it's 3 or 4, normally residents want to know who are you going to appoint for your deputy mayor. Based on that, I'm going to vote for you.
And
You
if
know.
in all
that's
fluid,
what you hear.
to be
you know,
transparent,
so-
if I just say it, if I'm just, no, I'm not gonna say that. If let's just say that if you're going out and you're campaigning and you say, I got 2 people in mind, but I have to make sure that they want to accept. People would accept that. You know what I'm saying? To your point, and that's what I've heard. People, like you say, because you always want to know. I would just say you always get put in a situation where sometimes people get surprised, and then when the surprise happens, we stuck.
Yeah, and especially when they are actually campaigning for the mayor because they feel that you've got 5 or 6 people that are thinking that they're going to be the deputy mayor.
And that's and to be honest with you, that is the mayor's
it's-
or the candidate's responsibility in making sure that they can strengthen that up. But to get more people on your side, some candidates will tell multiple people at multiple times, you know what I consider you. And you know what I'm saying? Like that's, you're on the top 3. Or just say, you know what, you're very important. And then all along knowing who they're gonna pick. And then when it happens, if you say something in this political world, all it looks like is, oh, you mad. I ain't promised you that. Yes, you did. And it just looks like it's just a whole, well, I help support you. Well, they got these other supporters because they'll turn to the vote and say, I got 3,000 supporters.
Right.
But it's the nucleus.
Yeah.
So just take the ambiguity out of it. I thought I'm with you, Commissioner Payne, but nobody would. I wouldn't do it. I'll be upfront, frank with you. When I first came to Pontiac, Mr. Allen, God rest his soul, Sr., right, was the coolest dude I ever met in my life. He was a golfer, Ernie Allen, Sr. He was a golfer, and he was the deputy mayor, and he was Walter Moore's right-hand man. I'm 22 years old. I ain't never seen 2 black men outside of Mayor Coleman Young and a number man running the whole city, and they all black. This dude was the epitome of making sure things got done and holding the mayor tight. I wanted to be that guy. Like, I purposely wanted to be the deputy mayor. Like, I'm going to be Ernie Allen Sr. That's who I want to be. Because if you ever watched him maneuver with young people and things of that nature, just with the school district, everything during that time, you looked at their history.
He was.
So with that being said, yeah, if I want to be that now, get a certification, Gil. Go finish. Go get your certification right now. If it passes, go. Yeah. If I want to be that person, it's simple, and not keep a secret. Like it's always this ghost thing about it. But I'm gonna say something for my closing comments. I'm sorry, Madam President.
That's okay. No, this is the conversation we need. Commissioner Ibarra, how do you feel about the 60, 90, 120?
I am in agreement. Typically, once elected, the mayor. I mean, and even some candidates will announce who their deputy mayor is during their campaign as well. They'll be a joint ticket, if you will, without the deputy mayor being elected. But if you have intentions, if you know who you want, as Gail explained, then if you know you have Yes, I am in agreement with the 2 months, the 60 days of moving in. I am also in agreement with the 3 months, allowing them the 90 days. The sooner the better. The sooner, the more passionate you seem to be as deputy mayor and the passion of Pontiac. But yeah, no, the 4 months was simply just an example to provide. So as Tamika said, this is a great conversation to establish. And yeah, I am in favor of 2 months.
Okay, just for clarification, so let's say this year, the election would be on, it's the second Tuesday or the first Tuesday? First Tuesday. So it would be on the 7th. So let's say, right, it takes, what, can we say till Friday? I don't know. They changed the law for the results. Because you can
Right.
now start doing,
I thought it was 48 hours.
Well, it depends on,
well, now you can start doing the absentee ballots before
Yeah.
the night before, so it doesn't take as long as it used to. So let's say it's Thursday. So we will know who the mayor is on the 9th, right? And so the mayor knows they didn't run with them because this person got a job and didn't want to jeopardize their job. So then they would have from November 9th to December 9th, that's 1 month, December 9th to January 9th. So it would be at the swearing in that they would have to identify who this person is. So we can say 2 months and then clarify
Definite.
that at the swearing in, this person has to be addressed. I like, and I'm gonna ask Commissioner Killian, but I like the 2 months. I was gonna say that, but I was like, they're gonna say I'm being too harsh. I like the 2 months, cause I'm like, Commissioner Garrett, sometimes people run with them cause they're trying to get the most popular person to help their ticket. But as in our current mayor, who did not run with the deputy mayor, but I believe that he was identified very soon after the election had happened, right? So I don't know what that conversation looked like and how long it took, but it is, if you want this, we have this amount of time and starting that time. So I'm good with the 60 days as well. Commissioner Killian.
I would like this added on the survey between 60 and 90 days. I would like that question to be part of the question. Which do you prefer, or if you prefer any of that, as far as residency required,
I
the
like
60 to 90 days.
can we do 30, just,
Okay, we can
can we
put
do
it on
30, 60, 90,
60,
120?
90.
Don't
Oh,
do
no,
the
you said
120.
90. I'm
No,
just saying,
30, 60, 90.
30, 60, 90.
Yes.
but 30, well, A, B, C, and D, 30, 60, 90, 120.
Oh, 60, 90.
No, 30, let's say 30.
I don't really like the 4 months, but I know why he used it, because it was just an example to get the conversation going about a requirement for it to move in, you know, and that was feasible. So,
So we saying 30, 60, 90, 120?
No, I
30,
mean,
60, 90.
because most questions on it is what, 3 answers or 4 answers? Or is it just
2 answers, yes or
2
no,
answers?
but
Oh.
but allowing them to choose.
Add
See,
something else.
the thing
Okay.
about the
30,
survey
60,
is
90, I'm
we
sorry.
don't want to leave open-ended questions.
Right.
We want to come to the community with questions that we have intent, but giving them the answers, the options of the answers, so we can add up to 4.
No, 30, 60, 90,
30,
with that being
60,
said.
90.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair,
I
for
would
that
also
point
like-
of privilege.
and I don't know, and I apologize, it's kind of slipped, but I'm still with, as we discussed in our subcommittee, for the same type of situation as far as moving up, the mayor being only here for a year. No, I'm not with that. I want at least 2 to 3, and I want that added on to the survey. I forgot to say it while we was talking about the strong.
We can definitely add that onto the survey.
Yes.
Is
Add
that
it
the
to
current, is that the
Kinda
current?
scared of
It's
that.
I'm sorry.
1 year. The
It's 1
current
year.
is 1 year.
The current is 1 year.
I'm
Yeah.
afraid of that.
Yeah,
I'm
not.
definitely afraid of.
No, I'm afraid
No,
of the
yeah,
one.
of
the
adding,
1 year.
I'm like that. Go
Yeah.
ahead,
You don't like
Garrett.
it? Okay.
Go ahead,
All right.
Garrett.
Okay,
Garrett, go.
I wouldn't mind. Because 1 year, what do you know about a city in 1 year? Now, I'm just gonna talk,
Well,
I've
you
been,
know a lot.
well, no, not here,
Well,
not here. We talking about here. In 1 year in Pontiac, you gonna think you know. Now we talking about political landscape process, moving in, talking to folks. In 1 year, I've seen people come in the community, come back home, born and raised. Which I always tell people, born and raised, that was your mama and daddy decision, not yours. Your decision to come back is yours. Come back after a year. And when I tell you hook up with the wrong people and then have to do another 1 to 2 year, maybe pulling themselves out because they didn't got themselves locked into a situation, not knowing the history of an organization or a movement or a connection. So I would like the survey to say at least 2 years. Because that 1 year situation, even if you are elected or you represent, living here and being in it is totally different. I'm going to catch. You're gonna know my. If we hanging around each other, you're gonna catch me at the gas station. If I'm portraying a certain model of who I may be or whatever, like you're gonna catch me at Charlene's. Like these restaurants, like you understand what I'm saying? Like you can only hide for so long. A year, I can pump fake you all day. 2 years, yeah. You gonna. How good are you at turning? I'm with the 2 years. I'll save it for my closing comments. This is a very good conversation. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, so we have residency for the mayor move from 1 year to 2. If we're going to do the mayor, we need to do the council because they also only have a 1 year residency.
I agree.
So we can add that as a question.
Yes.
For residency.
Man, specific counsel. Now I'll take. Never mind. Go ahead. I'm Matt. I'm sorry. I couldn't wait to get here. Like
We at council. Go, Commissioner Garrett. We at council.
let's go. So, are we good with that? You say we at council, right?
We're
Okay.
starting at council president, public
All right.
advocate.
Okay, yes,
No,
let's
go
do
ahead.
it.
Okay. So
What you got?
So looks like we got some survey. So I mean, we got some tweaks, if you will, in the mayor and the deputy mayor right now, in which those tweaks will be surveyed to finalize those tweaks. But just would like a temperature check.
Okay.
If we are comfortable with the deputy mayor position.
Okay. Temperature check. So are we comfortable with the deputy mayor's position with amended, knowing that the residency time is something that we're going to ask a question about? Everything else, are we good? Garrett.
I am good. My only caveat, and I saw this when you says oversee of day-to-day operation, it says oversee departments, because we are still a strong form of mayor government, to put in there, because I've seen it through the years where the deputy mayor has turned on the mayor still has the autonomy of the last decision or the approval or if the deputy mayor does something, in a department, the mayor can say, not so much in the video, but I'm the mayor. I'm not going with that. We're going to stay with this, if that makes sense.
Yes, it
Okay.
does, 100%. In our conversations, we did want to see the mayor getting that final signature, if you will, before presenting to council, as it currently
Yes.
is now. The deputy mayor does provide the information to the mayor, but the mayor would have the final signature before presenting to the council. But yes, we would need to make that official in the charter, absolutely.
The mayor, before anything is presented to council, the mayor must sign off on it, because shall. Now that's one thing I want to put, shall, because what has a tendency of happening in the last administration, the mayor didn't sign off on anything, and the deputy mayor was presenting it all, and the council was voting on it as if it was coming from the executive side, and then it was just an assumption that the mayor had agreed to it. When the past administration ended up, let's just say, falling out with the deputy mayor and changed her job position without telling her, she just came in and she was doing something different, those roles and responsibilities and those things that the council had passed, thinking that the mayor themselves brought it, the mayor had the autonomy at that time to say, no, that was that person. Then they brought in another deputy mayor and basically had the same thing going on. And that particular deputy mayor got a little wise a little bit about it. And then they end up getting replaced. So it shall anything presented before council for council approval, the mayor has to commit to it because legally now, legislatively, if we're going to, once we get to the council side, we'll talk about that. You can now hold that mayor accountable.
So we would change the deputy mayor to shall have final approval by the mayor, oversee city department, and the mayor shall have final approval. So we would like to add that wording there.
I would like to.
All right, so Killian, are you good with deputy mayor?
Yes, with that addition, yes.
Payne,
My question is.
Mike, please.
My question with the business management, that also includes the financial background, right?
Yes, I believe that a degree in business management, public administration has that. Certified in city management requires that as well.
Okay, great.
I say yes.
And up at the top, did you change that to say
Well,
overseas?
we wrote notes, but this
Oh.
was already typed up, so
Oh, okay.
we have notes.
Thank you.
All right, Council President, go. Garrett.
So I'm sorry. I was typing my notes. Sorry. So, council president, and I like to use current examples, right? So, can't y'all tell I was excited about last Tuesday's meeting, council meeting? And so, when I watched the current president of that council navigate through terms, motions of what the wishes of the council at that particular point was able to articulate it back to the clerk as the clerk had to get understanding of where they were at. That is a full-time job. That is a full-time job. Now but I don't necessarily, it is a full-time job. I'm not sure if I wanted to be elected by the people other versus elected by your other council members. That should be the only full-time job in this city. In this city. It's full-time jobs in other cities. I've seen it, Detroit the whole time. But in this city, that's the only full-time city council person. And because you having your other elected officials or council members vote you in, you gain that trust. That means there's a level of respect there. There's a knowledge that you're going to have to display based upon the things that's required to run a meeting and to run a legislative office. So it should be a full-time job, should be a paid position. I'm not advocating for the current president. He has a job. What I am doing is saying it's a hard job being a president in this city when it comes to the amount of work that needs to happen. And so watching that previous board meeting and those others, again, that's, it wears on you, but it should be a full-time job.
I'm sorry. So let me ask you a question. Voted on by the people, you say no.
No.
Okay. And then will be an at-large council member?
Yes.
Yes. And full-time paid?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Killian?
The only one that I would question in my opinion, is voted on by the people. I prefer that because I've seen the collaboration of certain councils that get together and then get the person that they think or buy or whatever they do to collaborate with their ideas. With the people being able to vote someone in, you kind of get around that, but you still leave it open to where, I'm kind of on the fence of it because if you leave it up to the people, let's just be honest, you're gonna go popular. Who's the most popular, who's the most that got out there, who most did the marketing? That might not be the right person to gain the trust, again, as you said, amongst that council. So I'm kind of on the fence because I look at how they collaborated, the president and pro tem president, how they came out with that, and I did not like it. So I'm kind of on the fence of that one, but the other ones, I agree.
Okay, so you want it to be.
Say that as a temperature check, yes.
We're just doing temperature checks. Payne,
I'm in agreement with the full-time position, member at large, and voted a vote because elected position. And the only reason I say that is because of what I've heard throughout the community when a president is chosen within, and you hear all of the kind of negative things about how they were chosen, why they were chosen. If you have an elected person, what happens is you're probably gonna, and the community is aware of what type of qualifications that you're looking for, then that person could be elected. And because there could be someone on the council that would not have any of those qualifications. And because he knows or she knows how to, I should say, campaign for that position, could end up being the person with the position.
thank you. So,
Qualifications.
so just as a temperature check, you are yes with the full-time paid, correct? You are yes with the voted on by the people, and you are yes with the at-large position.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I will say, I am a yes with the full-time paid. I am a yes with the at-large. I am a yes with voted on by the people, and I say that because there will, if this is going to be a full-time job and you find out about it after you're elected, now I gotta quit my job. I think people are going to run as, I mean, it's a popularity contest, either way we look at it. Let's just be honest, right? It is a back door, let me talk to you, can you vote for me type of deal. I think the last couple of times we've lucked out with getting really good presidents, but it's not a guarantee that that is going to garner a good president. I'm gonna go with Ibarra and then Garrett.
So, and my only concern as to allowing the council to vote for their council president would be to reestablish 7 districts, but then one of those districts are not gonna have a representative because they're gonna be turned into full-time council president at large. It's just it just seems like the voting by the people helps the function help better rather than voting by the council than discussing who's gonna help with the responsibilities of District 7 and whatnot. And this is just for example, and this could be in any district, but just allowing somebody to run for a district position, but then being voted on to council president, it takes away from that district themselves. And without a specific representation like the other districts, I feel like that district certainly is going to be left out. At least feel like they left out. They're feeling left out.
Garrett.
So, I think, well, I don't know if we're confusing the two or not, but the people have already chose the person in their district they want them to represent them. Mm-hmm. If we go to 6 districts, or we say seven districts, you're only dividing a line. Who's ever touching on that district, I mean, that's a redistricting, process. Mm-hmm. So this president can be at large. So the people will be represented. It's just your area may have a larger area population because you're going to divide. Let's just say 7. If 7 is the one that needs to be divided, then 6 and 5 is going to split that in half, and then you go over here. 4 touches it a little bit, then you go over here. But that is a clerk thing. I think that's a clerk thing. So so they will be represented. The problem I feel with having then elect the full-time position as the mayor, the full-time position as the president, having the people elect them is I still don't have to listen to the people. It's still a popularity vote because I just use myself for example. If I'm the most popular person at this point, and I say I'm running for president of the city council, mm-hmm. I'm the president of the Pontiac School District, mm-hmm. I'm running a campaign. You can very well confuse the two, depending on if I don't mess up over here. I get in here popular. I'm now the president of the city council because the people have voted me in. It's a paid position. I have now have the autonomy to be into day to day. I'm only elected by the people, and now I can challenge, because I'm elected by the people, I can challenge the executive office. I can challenge the executive office because if I don't like something that's being presented, I don't need the vote of the other 6, to veto, to do anything, because I can say I have the autonomy because I'm elected by the people. Mm-hmm. Now, I go rogue. They can't vote me out. The 6 people can't vote me out. You have to go back to the people and say, we need to do a recall on the current president. Now, if the people already voted me in, now I've created a division, even a bigger division, in trying to get me out, which is another year process. So now I sit here with as the president. I got the legislative power now. I got lawyer power now. So now how much damage can I do even if I'm not even elected by the mayor? You really electing 2 mayors. If you allow the person to be chosen by the people that they elected, now we do know we do know people going, if you got elected, you got elected. That's it. That's the democracy. If I got elected, I have the ability to go to each 6 of my council members and say, I'm a great president. This is why I'm a great president. This is why you should choose me. This is why I have to solicit that from you. If I mess up, you don't have to solicit to me, oh, we're going to get rid of you, Gil. You can come back out here on this floor and say, we need a new representation. He lost his mind. And then you can legislatively, because you'll have the power, the attorney will be sitting right there, and gladly when y'all vote me up out of here, hey, you go. And then you get to choose who your next leader is going to be. That's a just like that process. And that's how it's set up now. We just haven't, again, to the chair's point, I'm not going to say we lucked out. What I will say is the most experienced people on running a dais sat as the board president in the pro tem. Mm-hmm. And that wasn't even a discussion. I'm in the discussion. It wasn't even a thought process with what was about to happen. Sure, there was a little like, do you think, do you want to yield? Yeah. But you're still all elected by the people. Again, if you want to get rid of me, 6 people can get rid of me. If I get elected by the people, you're going to have to deal with me for another year. So what do you think I'm going to be doing to you for a year? With the attorneys that y'all gave me power of, with the paycheck that you gave me power of, and the finances that you gave me of with your budget. That's elected by the people. So that's why I'm always, hey, allow the people to be in, and then every 2 years or every year, I like 2 years because it's consistency. But every 2 years, you come back as a group and you say, hey, you grade me. Hey, Gil, the Phoenix thing, you messed that up, brother. I asked you to do a partnership with the school. You ain't did that. Well, we got to get another leader that can get this done. That's all, and that's to my point. Not to say that it won't ever happen, but
Commissioner Payne?
Well, I think if you're elected by the people, or if you're elected by the council, both is going to be by population. Either way it go, it's going to be who gets the, so I don't think there's a difference in that. 300 people, which would be residents, 6 people who would be the council, it's still going to be by popularity, either way it goes. But then we have also an executive board. Am I correct? So what if the executive board interviews and appoint?
You talking about the mayor? What's the
no.
executive board?
that's the thing. You don't have. We don't have the executive board over here. We have executive and we got legislative.
Yeah.
You only have a president and a pro tem.
Well, I thought we had put in an executive board somewhere. Where did I see that? And maybe that was our discussion. And Scott, because we were talking about putting in a executive.
Like a secretary and
some
a
kind of
treasurer?
Board, no, a grievance board or something like that. Because what happens is that right now, when there's a dispute within the council, there's no one to go to.
I thought they were supposed to fight that out.
Well, that's what I'm saying, they fight it out.
It's the charter.
But what if there was like Scott and I were talking, well, were you in that one also?
The position to hold
Putting in another board.
the people in the city of Pontiac accountable would be the public integrity officer, investigating the waste, abuse,
okay.
fraud, and corruption in the city
That's
government.
what you called it instead of the board. You called it an integrity officer. Okay.
Yeah, that person doesn't have power
All you can do is investigate.
to preside over elections.
Correct. They
It's
would be the
kinda like a
person.
mediator, is what it is.
But they're
rather
not
than going
elected. They're not elected, so I wouldn't want them to.
They're not elected at all.
Right, so I wouldn't want them to tell me who my council president is because they're not elected. That they could
okay.
easily be bought off.
But I'm not about to mediate with you. Like if I got elected by the people, and the compliance officer come to me and say, I think you abusing it, I say, I'm glad you can see.
Right.
I am. There's nothing you can do about it. So go investigate something else until the people vote me out. And if the people come and vote me out, that's a whole nother year. So again,
I mean,
I
we could
gotta-
do a recall.
that's a year.
Oh, yeah,
That's a year
okay,
process.
okay.
And while they recalling me, compliance officer, go sit home because you about to get fired. Bye. See you. Counsel, who's ever helping with the recall, right? By the time there's nobody to hold me accountable until I get recalled. Well, at that point, I don't care. Damage is already done. Again, if you're able to your point, if you're able to change me out or change. I'm just using it for an example because I don't like to, go, put names and stuff. But if your colleagues who you've already voted, the people already voted for you, you still have power. Now, whether you listen to your people in your district or not, that's your business. But if I'm sitting here as the president and I get to acting crazy, you can take your 4 votes, find your 4 votes that night without due just cause. You don't have to. Hey, got my 4 votes. Go sit down. And now all that power that you've given to this at-large chair, now has to be decided amongst the people that the people voted for on who next to give it to. Because you got to keep in mind the process of government slows down when leadership is dull or stops. So if we in a slow motion, that means everybody from the executive side all the way down goes into a halt. You've already been elected by the people. And I'm just saying, just as far as the school board, I got to play the two because Kermit Williams do a good job with trying to explain that. He thinks he does, and that's my guy and all. But the school board, I have to do a temperature check. I have to check in with those other 6 board members. I have to present a plan. If they say they want a strategic action plan, I have to present a strategic action plan. I have to present to them, I have to keep the communication going with the superintendent, which will be this person talking to that person. If you don't do that, and it finds out that I'm wrong, or somebody feel like I got more power than I should, people do come up with conversations about, we need to get rid of him, because you know what? He ain't get my cousin no job in food service. That's not my job. You understand what I'm saying? Like
right.
You just creating a.
Yeah.
I'm just giving you factual information.
Right.
If you saying that you want to be elected by the people, you're already elected.
Killian, and then Ibarra.
And then I digress. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm excited. I'm excited about this. I'm telling you, I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait to have this conversation. Y'all put me under pressure.
Well, he's only been here 2 hours.
So
Right,
Commissioner
that's
Garrett,
what it is.
3.
and from what I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying if we go with the voted by people, we lose the checks and balances of dismissing that the board, the council.
The
loses
council loses that.
that, correct? Okay. So that's where that would be a stickler for me. And I get what you're saying. But I'm still, like I said, it's just, we have to present it. I would like it on a survey also, again. But being that is a great point that you pulled up. Because our whole thing is strengthening
Correct.
the situation because at large. But we don't want to, right there, if that's the case, which our clerk is saying, we lose that power. Okay, so I just want to make sure that the public knows that, and we know that, that to be correct, and then they can make the decision after. But thank you for pointing that out.
Ibarra.
As this conversation continues, it does make sense to where when trying to establish the public integrity officer, that person would be there to present to council any types of investigation of the misconduct, but it wouldn't make any progress if the public integrity officer presented to the council and the council was unable to vote the removal due to being voted by the people. So I would say I was in favor of being voted by the people, as just as things go, it does make more sense when trying to implement a public integrity officer to be able to hold the council president accountable and to remove them if any misconduct as soon as possible. And in terms of saying a recall, it takes a year process. We don't have a lot of time to grow. And so I wouldn't want to waste that time for removal of a position. I would want to use that time to grow the city as a whole. So to your point, Commissioner Garrett, I I do understand why council president should be voted by council. My only concern about that is when distributing the responsibilities of a district to two different people, putting more responsibility on their plate as a part-time position in Pontiac. I guess I just would need to see, and I guess everybody would need to see, just in terms of, and I guess that's a part of the job description as well. It's a big conversation, but I'm just concerned about the council people distributing, sharing the responsibilities of a district, but only getting paid for one district.
Can I jump in right quick? Because I just wanted to say for the record, I don't trust people in general. I think, like I said, when the council gets up here, and no shade, I promise y'all, no shade, that they don't look at who's most qualified. They look at who they friend, who they think gonna listen to them, who they think. So I would like to put the question on there, but I don't know if it's the most votes makes it the president. I just feel like people have conversations and make backdoor deals to become president and president pro tem. Whatever the majority says, I'm good with. But I just wanted to put that out there for the record. That's how I feel. For the record, thank you.
Just one. Were you done?
I'm done.
Okay. Could we add that power if they're voted by the people? Could that be added? To the charter, far as if we're losing that to be voted by the people, if we're losing that checks and balances, could that be also one of the things we can add, which, I mean, I'm asking everybody.
What do you mean add like that?
Add, okay, we're saying.
What are we adding though?
We would add that they still could be voted out by the council, the rest of the council.
So,
You get what I'm saying? If we're, from what I'm hearing, if we go voted by the people, we lose the initiative of the council being able to get rid of this
Being accountable to
Right.
the current council.
Exactly. So could that be our part in adding that along with, if you're voted by the people, we want to add in the charter that you still keep this power. You can be voted out by the other council members. That's what, it's just a question. Okay.
Garrett.
To answer your question is yes. But once the council says, just throw an IE, Garrett is voted out, you still have to go back to the people, which is going to take about a year process to vote another president in.
Yeah.
And it slows the process down. I would, if you voted upon, if the people vote who they vote, you can't control, it's not a dictatorship. If I'm the most qualified, if I feel like I'm the most qualified person, here's how this works, because I've done it. And somebody kicks me out in the middle of, I've ran, I got voted in, I am the chair. I'm just going to use the school board because that way it makes it better. I'm the chair of the school board because it's the same thing. We just call them school board, whatever, right? I got voted out from the presidency because I wanted a forensic audit to be seen. They voted me out. I was out of town. I'm gone. I'm no longer the presidency. In their mind, they thought, voting me out, that I wouldn't have the power to push the forensic audit. Sitting here as a dais, we all have equal legislative power. A compliance officer or a person who does an investigation, at that point in time, under my auspice of my job as a Pontiac police officer, had an investigation that had criminal intent. I then took it to the FBI and went to the newspaper and said, this is what I did. Now, did I morally do anything wrong? No. Did I break protocol or what we agreed as a board that how we would act? We would go through the board chair? Absolutely. A compliance person then does an investigation on that and says, Garrett, you were wrong because you violated what the board agreed that would happen. He can't punish me. I don't go to jail. I don't get no ticket. None of that happens. I just get censored or something goes on my political record, right, that says that I did something wrong. So we still have the same amount of power. Again, we've just witnessed people voting for people because that's their friend. When you look at the city structure, absolutely. Because if we up here, and I feel that you can run a meeting better, I feel that you can do, there's no secret, I support Tamika Ramsey, like this Pontiac. But it's up to us. So I'm gonna go advocate. No, Brian, you cannot do it. You go out of town every 2 months. We don't even know if you're gonna be here at meetings or not. No, you can't do it. You about to get married, you about to go off and doing everything you got going on. No, it's gotta be Tamika. We have to have those conversations. Just because you popular and you run a business and you got the whole city on lock, that ain't your fault. It's just the way that it is. But if you mess up and we put you in there, at least I can go back to them and say, yeah, I messed up. We gotta get it. She gotta go. She tripping. Well, why is she tripping? You know what I mean? Like there's other conversations that happen when it's the exit. All I'm saying is having it in the hands of the power of, if you slow down government, you slow the process. And that's what's happened when the council wasn't able to do anything and didn't have a legislative person or finance person. And when we get to that, we'll talk more about that.
Okay, Payne?
Question. What if we put criteria for selecting the president?
I don't know if you can do that because then you would be, in sense, putting criteria on who can run and who can't run.
No, not running. They've already ran. Now, what happens is, go ahead. What happens is they've already ran, like they normally do. You know, everybody runs. And then they come to the table and say, okay, let's vote on who is going to be president and who's going to be pro tem. So if we put into the charter a criteria, then they have something to look at in order to choose from who has those characteristics.
But if no one has those characteristics, what does that mean?
Well, that still gives them an option. It gives them a guideline to kind of, to vote. Somebody's got to have something that is going to, because they've already ran for.
Oh, child, have you seen some of our councils? I mean, sometimes it is, I'm breathing. I promise you.
No, that's serious. No,
Yeah.
serious. Like, for real, like, we have to have, this is an honest conversation. Like, we're not, reason why I'm using myself as an example, and because
I want to just do what I did.
I don't know, I just don't want to it's real, right? It's real, it's tangible. Folks got voted in just to be a vote on council. Don't know nothing about the district that they were in. That's facts. So if you say put a criteria in, we still don't have to follow the criteria. Like, we're not at the space. I'm not gonna say we're not, and I'm not saying people wouldn't follow criteria, but it's hard to put criteria in
with no teeth.
With no teeth, because they don't. If you don't, what would be the criteria? You know Robert Rules of Order. You sat on the board for 3 years or 5 years. That make but it's no teeth because you're still elected by the people.
Yeah.
In
Ibarra,
which
go ahead.
there in the charters that I've looked in, there has not been a specific qualification for council president position other than explaining the council president shall have the qualifications of a mayor. They don't go into details of what a mayor looks like. It simply says council president shall have the qualifications of the mayor, because essentially, as Commissioner Garrett explained, the mayor and council president essentially will share similar powers, and each in their own respective powers. But yes, there has been in multiple charters that the council president shall have the qualifications of a mayor. It doesn't go into detail. That I'm sure that's for the people of the council to decide on what their council president would looks like in terms of a mayor qualifications. But there is no charter that has the specific qualifications of what a council president who has mayor qualifications looks like.
Killian?
I would just like to make this one comment. And the reason why, like I said, I was on the fence. With this being a full-time position, there's going to be money involved. And we all know at this board, in this city, that's not been good. Mm-hmm. So that's where I'm kind of on the fence also about the people, because I'm sitting up here, there we go with the favoritism, there we go. Now, we got some money issues involved. You don't think that's going to turn a couple of heads that have to have favors or some type of semblance of, and I'm just saying, as one of the questions we're going to go on the survey, I would just like that to be on. I don't want y'all to come in, but you can.
No,
okay.
But I just think, in all honesty, you have the democracy in which we live in, like that's a reality. And you trying to take something out that you trying to take something out of a person or that could be in it, but you don't know if it's in it until they get here. These seats, the assumption of power changes people until they find out the work that has to be done, until they find out the accountability factor that needs to happen. And then you will see them quickly turn into a little lamb. You will see them quickly just start sitting on the dais and go, yes. You will quickly see them find one thing that they're good at and say, I'm just going to do this one thing. And every time something comes from administration, if it's about this one thing, I'm going to say something. If it's not, I'm not going to say anything. You have to get a better candidate of people. And then what does a better candidate of people look like? Because if you talk about, i.e., somebody who's been here on fifth grandchild, I'm only 50. Well, 48. Now, we there, right? But you see folks, you got folks who come into the town, or you get folks that's younger folks that want to be here. Like some of them just want the quick, go, go, go. Don't even have a clue about what goes on in their district. They just want the quick go, 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 go. Because in their mind, this is a seat for me to have an ideal. I can beat my chest on my ideal of what I think something is. But that chair right there, if you pay, again, which we should, but again, you give your other six, or just like I'm sitting here trying to persuade and keep going back and forth because this is on, we having this conversation, and I'm like, hey, look, this is what I feel like we have to do this. Mm-hmm. And if we don't, the problem is we haven't done this enough openly.
Mm-hmm. So, question. So can we maybe just put that in a survey and just say, ask for?
Yeah, I'm with it, yeah.
So the survey is going to be,
and then,
should the council president be elected by the people or by the council?
yes, and I think Commissioner
Ibarra.
Burrow had something. He had his hand up before.
At the end of the day, it sounds like, to put it in a sense, we have to pick our poison, choose which poison we want. Do we want to have a long, thorough process to remove the council president? Do we want to have the council people interact with each other to determine the council president? Yeah, there's a lot to consider. I would just guess, are we stern on one way or another? If it goes one way, are people not going to support it? This is another temperature check in terms of, is this going to be a stern position where you say, I cannot fully support this?
This is not a hill I'm willing to die on. If we say, I think I done sort of kind of switched over. But if we go with either way, I'm okay. This is not a hill for me.
It's a hill for me. Because I just can't, if you elect, I've personally been in this space that I'm in. It shouldn't have taken 2 decades, but it has, to get to a point where we're finally moving a well-oiled machine that even if I'm not there, or no matter who sits in the seat, that there's processes in place, there's procedures, there's rules, there's rules of engagement. And no matter if you like me or not, it's still going to move. If you get it to a point where somebody gets elected to be in that seat, and there's there will be no checks and balances, and you slow the government down, or you slow the government down, the people who work for the government, morale goes straight down, and they tear up the city hall, flat out. And I can point to several administrations. I'll take the last administration. The last administration, when we came through that door, there were garbage bins, black mold, papers on the desk this high, boxes of where secretary would sit, because the morale, people didn't work, people were sick, health care wasn't being taken care of. So I'm telling you something, facts. And the city, and now here's the other end of it. The other end of it, I had to deal with it as a police officer, because thank God I'm with the county, and it was people who said, we still got to do our job. The Pontiac police, when it happened in 2008, and it was just 3 of us rocking on the streets, we basically was like, we're going to take calls from the station. And that's what we did, because there was no leadership being given out here. Things were stripped, things were taken away. There was no power or teeth put in that council. And so I'm just telling you something that I thank God I lived through it, to tell it. I mean, if it was just to tell this story right here, this is a hill I'm willing to die on, because we have to put some teeth into that council. And that chair, that presidency, that chair dictates a lot of the movement that happens on that legislative side, whether we want to agree to it or not. And if you put somebody in there who pay, I, at least as a citizen, if I ever go back to just being a private citizen, which I doubt, newsflash, I want to be able to go to my council person or come to that podium and say, you know you're wrong. I seen what you did. Now, which one of y'all get them out of here? What's going on? Because you know they decided I got the contracts. You got to have that democracy piece there. This is a hill I'm willing down, because it ain't. I've lived it, and I've been laid off. I've called Marvin. Like, man, so, yeah, no, it ain't good. It ain't, and we're just now getting employees back. I've seen some other employees in DPW. Like, you don't want to stop that, because if it slows down, we're not coming back. I'm just sorry. The generation up under is just not having it. They're gonna sell everything and move out. The kids, grandma, everybody gone. So it is a hill I'm willing to die on.
All right, Killian.
The hill that I'm willing to die for is the people's choice. If we give them enough information of both sides, like I say, excellent point. I agree. However, if the people say, out of this survey, say they would like for that to happen, then I have to allow that, because it's not just about me. It's not just about this charter commission. We gave you the best information, as Commissioner Garrett has given. This is the opposite side. So if you choose, as a people and the citizens of Pontiac, to go against something that may, or like you say, as a fact, for you to lose your checks and balances, but you're still willing to go for it, then that's because the people are the government. We elect those to work for us. So if that's the type of government they would like, then I have to ride with it. So that's where I would stand with it.
Well, I just kind of, I forgot where we were, to be quite honest, because I had started looking up something else to see.
Are you okay with the council president being voted on by the people or by the council? If it didn't go your way, would that be a stop point for you?
I could settle for either, but I did say voted by the people from a while ago, and then saying put that onto the survey.
Okay.
And then I wanted to see what Michigan actually says about the criteria requirements in running for an office in a city.
Okay.
That's what I was trying to look up.
All right. Okay, so we have that. Some people, like, this is, it'll be a deal breaker. Other people are more flexible with it.
Now, we talking about putting it on a resume? Or we just talking about
What?
you talking about putting that on a survey?
Survey.
You saying, is it a deal breaker? Like, ask me, is the hill I'm ready to down? Is that saying putting it on the survey, or am I saying if it goes in the charter?
It goes in the charter. We were just getting a temperature check, but we're gonna put it
temperature
on the
check.
survey.
That's what I'm saying.
Right, we're putting it on the survey.
But we also saying, just for clarity's sake.
Yes, just for.
If it goes in the charter,
You're
would
not
I-
voting for that.
yeah, no, okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
Yeah, you're right.
yeah.
Hill I'm willing down.
Okay, yep, that's what we need.
Yeah.
Okay. Other than that, does everybody feel comfortable with the council president description? Yes? Yes?
You said
Yes.
description?
Just on this, other than,
vague description.
yeah, the vague, what we have right here. We can move on. I'm trying to see if we can move on.
Well, no, because you said it says voted by the people. I'm not
Well,
comfortable
no,
with that.
with those amendments, we're taking that part out, everything else.
Will be a member at large, required to be full-time, and the pay?
And preside over the city council, vote on all questions,
Oh,
and then the bullet
preside.
points under there.
Oh, minor diversion.
Well, that's,
Oh, okay.
yes.
Time
Are
goes
we
by
okay-
when you're having fun, Sheila.
We okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so other than
Yeah, I'm
voted on
good
by
with
the
that.
people or voted on by council, we're good with everything else?
Right.
Yes, okay. Okay, so then we just go to regular city council, and I guess my question, I think Commissioner Killian had said this, when I vote for people, I'm voting for this person in my district. So let's say I vote for Jose, because he running in my district, then Jose gets up here and he becomes a president. Now Jose not my person. I ain't vote for Brian. I don't want Brian to be my council person. But that's who my council person is, because I don't like, people not gonna like that. Because we vote for a person. We know that person, we are putting our name on that person. And then depending on how the votes line up, that person may not be my representation. I like that. I'm trying to think who. So I'm in 4. So I have Kathy Lee, who I campaigned for, right? But let's say Kathy Lee became the president, then I would be either under William or Mikhail. Y'all don't like that? Garrett.
So then we have to do away with the president at large then, because you can't, there's no way, outside of adding 2 more positions to make it an odd number on the board from 7 to 9. And there's no other autonomy. There's no other space to allow your representation to be fully recognized.
Oh, yeah, I had no answer,
So,
but that's
so
my concern.
right. So for me, that's a great concern. That is a great concern. However, let's talk about city council. City council is supposed to be legislative. They're not supposed to be calling all day, being a nuisance to executive office.
Right.
That's something that they made up on their own. They're supposed to be creating and taking information from residents about concerns and then taking the honest answers and giving it to the citizen. They are not supposed to be promising, I'm going to get your roads fixed. That's a lie. It takes 2 years to do that.
Why he being?
You are not, I'm not being messy. I'm not being,
You are being truthful.
I am being truthful, and I'm being truthful in a space that I was elected to the people to be truthful in.
Yes.
So they are not, that's not their job.
Right.
Their job is not to promise, I'm going to get your house renovated or your rental property looked at. Their job is to put legislation in place that, as of, just for example, I come to work on today is the 10th. I can call a special meeting to the president. We come to this special meeting on the 11th, and I say we need to give a directive to code enforcement through administration that on Friday, Saturday, and Sundays, they will have at least 10 code violations corrected in each district legislatively, and we want to put that to a motion. That's their job. Their job is not to call the mayor and say, send code enforcement over to the party store because the meat bad. That's not their job. And so with that being said, council, the people have to elect people who know their job. Our job to put into the charter is not to put more teeth to get better council people that the people elect, because even then, the people may not elect them. If I elect you to do a job, I'm with you on that. I want the person that I elect. But if you're going to put some teeth to this position to be an at-large position, then the variance is the people, everybody in the citizen clearly understands, let's just be honest, they all act at large anyway. So let's not make this mystery like I don't call. People come down here all day. My council person didn't answer me, but this person answered me, and they got it done. So they all acting at large. Like for the last 2 years, I would say 2 sets of councils, they've all been at large members. So that's already out there. What I am saying is that I want the president to be at large, so that if I don't get a call from anybody, at least the person that I know getting a paycheck, buddy, call me and tell me, even if I don't want to hear the truth. That's what I've learned by dealing in each one of these councils. So I know that this is their jobs, because our job as a community police officer, and even when we had crime area target team, if there was something going on in your specific district, my job was to make you aware of what was going on and make you aware of the steps that we could take by legal right to do so. So then you can report out to say that, hey, something is being done about the boat that's in your yard that you reported out to me. That's as far as that go. But what we have done over time is you take what the person that's out there working do, council comes sit here, and then they say, I done did this for you, I got your boat removed, I got this removed, I did this for you, I did, making all these bodacious arguments, and that's not their job. So I don't think we should mess with the fabric of the council people. I just think that we should I really do think that we should, if we're going to have teeth here, and I'll be done. If you're going to have teeth here, then you at least make everybody aware that moving forward, your council, you do know your council person could be the council president. And if that happens, but you still going to have, he's still going to, from what the description says in the president that we just said, that to answer any calls. So you took care of it there too.
I get you.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I would be concerned about me working to get this person to be my council person because they live in the community and I know they would represent me. To now, I got this extra person who I might not. But I like
That's fair. That's fair.
and I want to make sure that if that's what we go with, which I'm good with, because it's like, okay, then they're the president. We need to be able to explain that to the residents
Yes.
in a way where they understand it and don't feel like because everybody gonna have my initial reaction. So I'm a vote for Kermit, but Kermit not gonna be my in my district, right?
May or may not.
Right. So that's we just gonna have to explain that. And I'll give it to you, Commissioner Payne.
Oh, I was just going to say, with all the things that, Commissioner Garrett is talking about, nothing is going to be resolved in those kinds of things unless you put criterias in for someone even running for an office. So that's not going to happen. So, I mean, it's not really anything to really debate about, to be quite honest, if we can't put something in here. I mean, like Deputy Mayor you have in here certified in city management.
But that's only because they're not elected. They're appointed.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
We cannot put qualifications around
Well,
somebody
then
who's
we're
running.
really battling because that's the big elephant in the room is, everyone feel that they can run for an office.
But shouldn't you feel that way? Like if I'm
not, I would not run for office if I don't have legislative background.
Well,
I'm just
you
not
rare.
gonna do it.
You
okay,
rare.
but
We
that's
like to hear that.
okay. But
It's just like,
okay, let's take that. Let's have this conversation.
Well,
I
it's 9:00.
well,
so
we
want
got
to.
yeah. I really do want to have this conversation.
we gonna have it,
like,
but we
I
all
mean,
giving
if
you
we-
the side eye, Gil.
Okay, well, keep giving me this. Well, shut the meeting down. Listen.
We
Listen,
trying to at least
listen,
finish
man,
this and
man.
get the dates, the training dates.
Okay,
Come on, sir.
that's a whole another thing, another way. We'll talk about that later. So, if I have to have a criteria to run, now we getting into the half and the have nots.
And
Because I'm glad you brought.
want to
Thank
be
you.
on
Look,
a board if
hold
you're
it.
not qualified
Okay, but
to run a board.
But here's the thing. When you get into the half and the have nots, some of the have don't have not. Some of the people with them qualifications that set up here with all them degrees is the reason why we got an emergency manager. And so when you take away the small time guy that's been living in my district for 20 years or 30 years, and then all of a sudden I see something quirky going on and I want to be a voice about it, and this person, because they got a degree over me, or they got some kind of special certification that they got offline, then they begin to say, oh, okay, they better than me? No. Reason why I ran, and I was just gonna put it back on me. I didn't run for the school board because I want education. I ran for the school board because they were stealing. I didn't run for the school board because my certification taught me going to the classroom and to discuss my pedagogy and doing classroom management. No, they were stealing. So my degree in criminal justice or whatever other degree of certifications I wouldn't have, because I didn't know Robert Rules of Order, because that would be a legislative piece, then that would disqualify me from running from an office that I know that once I got to the seat, I can dispel the rumor if somebody's stealing or not and get 5 convictions on stealing and forensic audits, getting things passed, and go from a $56 million deficit to a $14 million surplus, because I'm a have not. So that's my difference between the have and the had. You get into that. And that's a problem with democracy, period. We get to a point where we want to have certain people look a certain kind of way in certain positions. Trust me, they're going to get here and get their first steak dinner that they had offside of Altadonna's, and then getting in room, and they're going to say, it ain't Lowry's on this. This ain't what I thought it was going to be. They're going to soon find out this ain't what it is. So all I'm saying is, no, I don't want no, that's another hill I'm willing to die on. We're not putting no qualifications around no council, because if anybody feel that they qualified to do it, and whether you sing, dance, tap dance, whatever you do to get it, and you outwork the person in your district, move out the district. Move. But we already have that problem, Ms. Payne, of the half and the have-nots. As you can see, I'm very passionate about it. And trust me, those who come up against some of us have-nots, they have not.
All right, thank you for that. I agree with that. I'm willing to die on that hill with no qualifications, because, yeah, so.
She said 2 weeks, come ready to go, and ready to meet.
I guess I should have said on time too, huh?
No, you asked me, was I coming?
What was the question again? We get off into so many different directions.
Okay, so
Training.
No, so right now on the council, outside of what does the districts look like, right? But being able to explain it, we're okay with the rest of it. They're required to allocate funds for legislative staff, required to allocate funds for the public integrity officer, and allowed to appoint citizens to boards and commissions. We're okay with all of that.
Yes.
Okay, are we adding
Yes.
a question? Are we adding a question? Oh, wait, hold on. I think I did. Let me see. A question of, no, 6 districts, right? Should Pontiac have 6 districts and 1 at large, right? So that was the only question that we would be adding about that. And then just explaining to people about how the districts would be split up if their council person was choosing to be the president. Is that correct?
And are we saying that those who, the district person who gets elected council president, that district would then be shared by neighboring districts? Is that how we're qualifying?
I think legally the districts have to be split up equally based on population.
Correct.
So it would just be, we would then divide the districts equally based on population. So they would get absorbed by the other districts, but all the districts would move.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, and that's law.
Okay.
Look at that, I got a master's in public administration. It comes out at the weirdest times. Okay, so that's what we have. All right, so we are finished speaking on the forms of government, mayor and council. We are going to update the survey. We're going to do it online and on paper. We're going to work on the questions to make sure that they're more fleshed out so people can understand. But I also think by doing paper, as we're talking to people, we can explain as well. Absolutely. All right. So the next item for discussion is the training dates. So Sugar Law reached out to us, and these are the dates in which they are available to train us. They are all in September.
Did we ever, I'm sorry, Madam Chair. Did we ever say what we're getting trained on specifically? I just kept hearing training. I don't have any notes that says specifically.
I think we did. No, we didn't talk.
No, we never said, we
specifically.
didn't talk specifically.
When we asked about training, it was up to Sugar Law to carve out what training would look like for us as charter commissioners, and that's when we agreed that Sugar Law would take on that responsibility.
Okay. So no, we do not have specifics, but once we pick the training date, we can get an outline. I mean, they're gonna be training us on what does a charter mean, what are our roles with the charter, that type of thing, because there are some commissioners who are asked for that. Yes.
Y'all still got, you want to hear it?
I'm gonna let you go.
And we've already had this discussion already. You were here.
Oh, so,
Question.
so you know I'm not going to be here for training?
Yes.
Oh, okay,
Yes,
good.
yes,
All right.
yes. And the training is optional. I believe it's going to be virtual as well.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yes, that's my recollection. I can double check. Commissioner Payne?
So these are the dates that they chose.
Yes.
Right? So it appears to me that, I think if they know that we meet on a fourth Thursday, seems like they would have made themselves available for
So
that date, for the timeline that they've already known that we were.
We asked them to make this an additional meeting because some of the commissioners don't feel that they need this training, nor do we want to take up discussion time with the training.
Well, if we're gonna pay that kind of money, it should be mandated training. Can you imagine paying $6,000 for three people or two people to train? That's just my.
We had this discussion, and there are some charter commissioners who have done some of this work. We have provided multiple training manuals, and they feel they're capable. So we decided that we would not mandate this training, thus it would not be on a day that we currently meet. Commissioner Garrett?
I think you summed it up. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner
I would just
Killian?
have one question, and it's also according to if everybody doesn't attend, does the price decrease, or is it just one set fee?
It's a set price.
Whether all of us go or none of us go?
Right.
One of us.
Yes, this is the time of several attorneys.
Okay.
And we are compensating them for their time and their knowledge. It could be a full room or no room.
Okay.
They still charging us that amount.
Okay.
So, Madam Chair, then I think from the beginning, and I guess we can't go backwards, but this is probably what we should have done, is to figure out how many people wanted the training.
Well, I know that you want the
because
training,
if-
Turpin wants the training, Burrows
Well,
wants the
that
training.
was at the beginning of it. Now we're way into this. Training now for what? Because before, I wanted the training just so that we could all be on one accord and one group. And basically, learning or working as a team and different things that come with being a charter person. Just like the city council, when they come in, they have a training. When you come on the first job, you have a training. The first day. Now we're like a year into this. To me, we need to be on the ground running,
We can roll this money over to having them to be general counsel if we don't feel like we need the training. I was going to attend. I don't necessarily think I need it because I've read most of the materials that we've handed out. But I was going to attend. But if we don't think we need it, we can roll this money over into them being general counsel and continue to be running on the ground. Garrett?
When I thought the training was going to be something of free, then at that point, that's why I yielded the conversation to people who want to training. It's free, go to training. But you don't run from a position to get in a position and say, I need to be trained for it. That's not how this works. And we're just talking about this, about democracy and that whole thing and voting and people being qualified. There was a list of materials that was already given out to us, and if we're going to pay, I'm not in agreement in paying $6,000 for somebody to come in to tell me what you've already given me to read, what you've already said. We're already in the process. So I don't even feel comfortable giving them money right now because I'm going to need that money for marketing, advertising, and things of that nature, not to sit here and tell me what Jose just did in that committee and what you've done as a chair and established the rules of engagement that we did in the beginning to tell me that that's what I need to set up and do. That's not how I operate. So I'm not saying I'm not going to the training to be defiant. I'm very qualified. I've done this work. I understand the work. I can read. When I knew that I was running for charter commission, I knew what that meant. That means I'm going to help change the charter. That means I got to read the charter. That means I got to look at the charter provisions. I had to go out and then come here ready, as you say, to debate what point that the people that I speak to who elected me to be here to help drive that home so we can move a charter together. I'm not interested, and nor will I support paying somebody $6,000 to come tell me to do everything that you told me that I should have done that I'm doing right now.
Thank you. Killian, any thoughts around this?
We're too late in the game.
It's kind of late, but I would want everyone to be here because some of us that did ask for this, I was going based upon what is the legalities. I wasn't going in far as structure and how to, but what would be the legal ways in and out to make this work. That's what I thought the training was going to entail, and I didn't think it was going to actually take this long to get the training. But I do, or I wish for us to maybe table this to save for everybody once they come in and say, hey, do we really need this now at this point? So if possible, or if you want to decide now.
It appears, it looks like these trainings do fall on the second week of September, which is a Thursday that we meet. So the next time we would be able to meet would be that week of when training is available. So to determine whether or not we want that training, maybe we need to decide today. And that's just a thought.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna throw some cold water on you. We got a meeting on the 24th of this month.
Oh, thank you.
Two.
I was just like,
Two. We got two meetings. Can we get the new meeting dates out to everybody? 2 meetings this month, right? Yeah, we got it. So we can, I mean, if you don't need the training, you feel like we late in the game, right?
yes.
What you think?
I would want it, but do we need it? And if we don't necessarily need it, then I would be in favor with the rest of the people. I would want it though, and I guess that's just for my own personal reasons. I would be attending to the training, but I mean, as Killian said, we are rolling. The ball is rolling right now. I mean, I feel like we are discussing as what charter commissioners would do. We are establishing duties and responsibilities. Like I said, I would want it, but do we need it? I would be in favor if other councilmen feel like we don't need it, then I'm with them.
Thank you. Payne?
I am one of the persons who asked for it, and I asked for it at the beginning of the coming into the office. And I think in any role that you're playing, whatever you know or whatever you don't know, I think training is essential for any type of group. And we've gotten so far into this, we probably have actually developed our own training here. And this is a late start. I mean, I'm the kind of person that want to get out there and get to work and find out what the people want, you know,
Okay.
so that we can get something on the paper that works for the city.
Okay, so, and I am in favor of canceling the training and putting this money into general counsel so that we can start talking about the legality of this stuff. So I guess,
Did we sign a contract?
we did not sign a contract. Okay, I don't,
So, right, you wasn't, because I don't think Madam Chair was here at that particular time. Somebody came, Madam Chair, you were not here, so for point of clarity, the person that was here to try to attempt to explain what the training or introduce that person is no longer working
okay,
even with the city at this particular point in time.
Okay.
So, but I think I hear correct me if I'm wrong, So I don't want the training, but I do want to put the money in legal, because if it's some legal stuff that we need to talk about, well, at least we'll be paying for what we. But then I hear team building exercise. So team building exercise mean we do a potluck and do a longer lunch. Like that's what I'm, because it's, I don't know.
Okay, well,
Okay,
a
that's
potluck and
just
team
what I heard.
building is not on the agenda, and so we
I
can,
don't see that as team building, potlucks or whatever.
You say team building?
I don't
Evening?
see that as potluck.
But what would be a team? But I guess through the chair to Commissioner Payne. I do not understand then what you're in the beginning when we say team building or get us all on the same page, when we all ran on something. We ran to be on the Charter Commission, but we're all going to have different ideas. Like, it's not going to be a. I don't understand. I'm just looking for clarity. That's all.
When we came on board, we received this manual from, of course, one of the other attorneys that is no longer here. I would have liked for whoever, someone to just go over this with us without us reading it first and telling us what the expectations are, from a state standpoint. Because one of the things that I asked, what was it? Gosh, I didn't write it down, sorry. But at any course, I just think we need to find out who would be present at the training and to see if it's 2 people. I just don't think that we should have it.
okay, so just as a point of clarification, I did find the presentation from Sugar Law Center. They would have an overview of Home Rules Act and the Michigan Constitution, roles and authority of the Charter Commission, charter revisions and charter amendments, a charter review timeline, conducting charter meetings and evaluating proposals, requirements for charter revision approval, overcoming challenges in your charter revision process, and concluding and winding down the charter revision process and operations. So that is what the presentation would be on. Once again, if we have it, I'm attending. If we don't, I've done my homework and I'm okay with that. I'm not okay with us paying $6,000 for 2 or 3 people on a 9-member board.
Exactly. And I would attend if it's more than 3 people.
Okay, so we have attending, we have Payne, Ibarra. I'm not gonna put my name down because I want to see like who is committed to coming. Once again, if I can make it, I probably would be that person on the Zoom doing 5 other things, but listening in. So I will call. Wait, you coming too, right? You'll come?
Not at $6,000.
Okay, so no.
I mean, I wanted the training, but like I said, as Commissioner Garrett said, will that $6,000 be used correctly?
Okay,
No. So, yeah, I want the training, but I don't want it at a $6,000 cost.
not right now. Okay.
Madam Chair, may I?
Oh, hold on one second.
Oh, I'm
And
sorry,
Garrett,
wasn't
you
my
already
question.
know?
Yeah,
Okay.
no, I don't want
Okay.
the training.
Okay. Payne,
I mean, training is good.
When we,
I don't, no.
when we
no.
started out, we were coming to meetings, and this was for how many months? And we really weren't moving. And I just felt that the training would have given us some thoughts or ideas at how to move forward, rather than just coming to meetings and kind of discussing things, but we wasn't putting anything in writing or developing anything for, I mean, I had written out like tons of stuff for us to start working on, but then we never got around to any of it.
well, thank you. I would just like, I would like to counter that. I think we were working on things. We had the manuals to make people more comfortable with understanding what the responsibilities and roles of the charter was going to be. That's what I thought it was, but I believe that there were some people on here who felt that if we didn't have somebody who had a title or position in front of us telling us the stuff, they didn't feel comfortable with it. So I'm just gonna say, I will call the other commissioners to ask them if they are willing. We are saying that we need more than 5, we need 5 or more commissioners to have this meeting, this training. If not, then I will do, at the next meeting, we will talk about amending our budget to put this money back in general council. All right,
Okay, thank you.
thank you. All right, we're gonna do closing comments, and we're gonna start with Payne.
Well, thank you. This was a good meeting, and I really feel like we really got some work done. So I'd like to thank everyone for being here and those that are listening. And also, I was wondering if we could perhaps do an agenda now for the next meeting so that we'll know what's coming up. And then the residents will also know what's coming up, and maybe that would help them to maybe attend or something like that, our meetings.
Well, we would have to the agenda to add that. But we can work on the agenda in the next couple of days. I will work with the deputy clerk, and then we'll get it out, and then somebody, not me, somebody can come on Tuesday and talk about the charter meeting and talk about the agenda. All right, thank you. Ibarra,
Thank you.
closing comments.
Great conversation today, everyone. Really appreciate the passion we have for wanting to ensure that this charter is updated and can reflect for the future of Pontiac. Special shout out to Scott, and special shout out to Commissioner Stewart and Commissioner Killian, just for assisting along with the presentation for today. So, yes, looking forward to the next steps and to the next conversation.
Thank you. Killian?
Thank you. Yes, honor to everyone that's listening and those people, us on this board. I just want to make a comment that was texted to me far as to address probably in our next meeting or so, because we didn't get a chance, which time is of essence, but they wanted to know if we could address the planning commission, or people being on the planning commission and council. Is that a conflict of interest, and especially when it comes to issues like rezoning and certain people having property in Pontiac, but they're on the zoning board and the council. So it seems like, you can vote to be rezoned at one point and then come back and vote on it again as a council person. So they want to know if that's a conflict of interest of them holding both positions.
We're gonna have this discussion
We're
after
gonna
with
have
this
that,
closing
but after that,
comment.
that's my closing comment. Thank you. Thank everybody for their patience. Peace.
Thank you. Garrett?
Just want to thank the committee for bringing up the hard work and due diligence that you have taken and done to set the precedents for the conversation. I would thank the commissioners for being engaged. I think this is the most important thing I probably will do as an elected official or just as a person in my life, right? And so I'm very passionate about it. This is it. You can make a lot of choices and decisions in life, but when your charter, no matter how we got to where we got to, this is very important. And yes, I do want the charter to pass. There are probably some things that I'm just going to have to just say, okay, that's fine, and then maybe shoot for something next, but not give up on it. But just thank you for the hard work. Thank you for the due diligence. Thank you for the task that you're putting in. Jose, and I just want to, I'm sorry, Commissioner Yarborough, just want to personally say thank you for taking the opportunity to be the presenter. And it's not no hint on youth or anything like that, but to take the role on that you have just in our community so people can physically see it over the few months that you've been here, I appreciate it. And so I just wanted to publicly say that. And that, you know, again, the chair for always staying on me and making sure that I'm on time when everybody else is missing. So, you know, I appreciate it. Thank you.
I want to have a live camera in here because I just feel like this is a real hip hop of Housewives Pontiac type show at this point with the deputy clerk over there killing me the whole meeting. Thank you all. I appreciate us staying over. Have a good night. This meeting is adjourned. Oh, do we got to call for a vote? This meeting is adjourned at 9:27.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our Carter Commission page and stay for the latest updates.